about one full section. So I'll tell you about what Unit 2 is all about. In Unit 2, we'll discuss about arrays and matrices. We have already talked about arrays, correct? When we talked about formula-based representation, it was nothing but maintaining data as an array. But in Unit 2, we again discuss about arrays. What we discuss about arrays is letting the mathematical operations be performed in a simpler way when data is stored in an array. Okay? So, as a part of arrays, we will develop two data structures called array 1D and array 2D. These are the two data structures we will develop. And then as a part of matrices, we will discuss about all the special matrices that are available. Why are they to be used? How are they advantageous? Okay, so that is what this chapter is all about. Unit 2 is about arrays and matrices. It's not a repetition of what we've done in formula-based representation. What did we do in formula-based representation? In formula-based representation, we created a database or a data structure. We created a data structure where data was stored using the concept of an array. The operations that we discussed about on arrays were insert an element or delete an element, search an element, and things like that. Okay? These basic operations we discussed. We will develop a class called array 1D. And what here in array 1D, we will store the data again as an array, one-dimensional array. And the member functions that we will include are the functions that will let us add to array data, subtract two arrays, multiply two arrays, or perform any arithmetic or logic operation on the data. Now to understand why this is required, suppose I have stored your CIE marks in an array called CIE. Suppose I have stored your SEE marks in another array called SEE. Suppose I want to compute your IA marks. Okay? When I create an object IA, then automatically an array will be created when I create an object. And then when I say IA is equal to not IA, the total marks. Let me change this to total marks or your total score, that is equal to CIE plus SEE. As simple as this, without writing any for loop, worrying about how much data is there, am I going out of bounds, or if I'm in the proper range of the array. I'll not worry about all that. As a user, I will create an object CIE. Then this kind of an array should get created for me. As an end user, I'll create an array called SEE, then I will store all the data. Similar to using these functions, I'll do all that. I've done all that. Now I want some more functionality. I want to advance. So I want a feature wherein I will create an object total or T, and then I should be able to write sentences like this, which means this marks is added to this marks and stored here. These two are added and stored there. Or if I want some other mathematical operations, then accordingly that mathematical operation should happen and stored there. As a user, I shouldn't be required to use a for loop. Okay? Whatever data is there, corresponding data operations should be performed. So in today's class, what we learn is we'll see how to let these things happen. Which concept of OOPS do you think we will use? Operator overloading extensively. So today's class is about using operator overloading extensively to let such operations be performable, or to be able to do such operations. So all of you with me will start writing developing the class. What type of a class do we develop? always template class y. Template class y of type y. I will create a pointer variable star element, because why do I do this? To allocate memory, correct? To allocate memory for a 1D array. Then what else do we need? We need size. Of type int, we will have size. Let's not worry about length here. Let's not worry about length. We worried about length when we did primitive operations. Now we have pakka 1D arrays. Okay, we should let operations be performed on those data. It's not wrong if you include length, and if you take care of length here also. It becomes that much more complicated, since we've already done with length, size and length, checking if it is a valid location and things like that. We will not do such things here. Our intention of creating this class is to let some operations like this be possible. That is all. Based on what we want, we are creating. No, there is no rule, or there is no textbook that says if you create a class array 1D, only these things have to be there. No, it's not a compulsion. We are defining how we want to write. Is that clear? So in the tests or exams, if you are asked to perform something, then accordingly you will write the array class. Accordingly you develop the class. Is that clear? This is one way of doing things. Now we have some member functions included. The first member function, as always, will be a constructor. Now in the constructor, should we take any argument? Should we take any argument? We have, because when we say array, then we still need to know. Should we give it a default value? Yes. Is it compulsory?
No.
No. It's good. It's just good programming. Okay, because you are sure. Even if the user is not specified the size, you know that you are not taking away too much memory or playing with memory unnecessarily. So, shall we be marginally good? If the user does not specify size, we let size be equal to 1 or even 0, because this is the second class that we are developing. Okay, so what should happen? The SZ that the user has given shall be copied onto size, and then what do? Element is equal to new y type
size.
Array size. That's it. What should happen in tilde array 1D? Whatever is being allocated using new can be deleted in the destructor. So this is the constructor and destructor. Now we will come to more required operations. The first operation, let us see how we can let this addition be possible. If this line is to be compiled, so of the main function could be something like this, of array 1D int, I will say CIE Possible? Yeah. As a programmer, I am sure that the computer resources are not being misused. As a user, I should have been more careful in specifying the size and all that. Okay? So, let me say I am creating arrays of size 10, 10, 10. Now, I want to say T is equal to CIE plus SEE possible. I want that to be compiled. if this line is to be compiled, what is the function that is required to be there?
Overload operator
So
plus.
return type I will write a little later. So it is the operator plus that is to be overloaded, because this plus will work if I have in I, j, k. If I say k equal to I plus j, the compiler will understand, because I, j, k are all of type int. So the compiler already has codes for what should happen when a plus is used. What are the values allowed for I, j and k? What are the operations allowed for I, j and k are all part of the compiler. That's already there. But when I say t equal to CIE plus SEE, t, CIE, SEE are of some type that I have generated. So I have to write what should happen when something like this is encountered. Okay, so operator plus. Now any function that we write inside a class will be a member function. The only way to get to a member function is through an object. So it is the CIE object, the first object that is encountered. CIE is the object through which operator plus function will be invoked, and this object is to be passed, because this function needs to know about two objects to add. So what is the argument? What is the parameter that is coming in? It is array 1b y. I will take it as v, some variable v. Can I put an ampersand? Can I put an ampersand?
You don't want the CIE to change, right?
Can I put an ampersand? Yes, because I already have a place for CIE. I already have a memory location for SEE. I don't want to make copies for something to happen here. I want everything to happen in place, in the same memory location. Could we use a constant also? Do I want CIE marks to be changed while adding? No. So we could append the constant keyword as well. Constant array 1b ampersand. Is it clear? Constant to mean that the value that is coming in is a constant. You cannot change that value here. You can take that value and compute, but that value itself you cannot change. Is that clear? So constant array 1b v. What do we do? How do we add two objects now? Because we know what those objects are. These objects are internally nothing but arrays. The array of the object is called by element, called by the name element. So how do we add? For int I equal to 0, I less than, I made my life simple, size. You're not worrying about length anymore and doing the adjustment. I equal to 0, I less than size, I plus plus. I have to add. What do I have to add? Two arrays. Where are the arrays? Arrays are named element. Element plus element. Element that belongs to CIE plus element that belongs to SEE. SEE's element is there in V, correct? That SEE is now come in V. Now I will say V dot element of I. Now what is the element of CIE? How do I refer to it there? Normal element, because that is the current object. If you want more clarity, you could say star this dot element. For people who have troubles with star this, what it means? See, star this means the object that invoke the function, the object that is currently active. If I simply say currently active, then two objects are active, aren't there? CIE and SEE. So I would say the object that brought us to this function. Which object brought us here? CIE. So when you say star this, then it refers to the address, or it has the address of the object CIE. I could simply say element of I, or I could also say star this dot element of I. Both are same. Okay? Now where do I store the answer?
You have to create another variable.
I need to have another variable. What type of a variable should that be?
Object
It should
array
be an
1D.
array, not just an array, it should be an object. So of type
Array 1D.
array 1D y, I'll call it sum. I'll call it sum. If I say sum, then its size will be 1. So
Sum of 10.
how do I know it is 10? If I make it 10, then it will work only for
Sum
this,
of size.
Sum of size. How will I know size? So sum of v dot size I can do, or size I can do.
Yeah, size is private, so you can't do
Where are we
that.
now? Where are we now? Where are we outside the class? Operator overloading function is never outside the class. If you do it this way, if you write a friend, then it is outside. Not now. Or you could say, v dot size or size here works. If you want, you take it to another variable. You say int s is equal to size. Size refers to which size? CI is size. You could do that and give s here, or you could give size only here, or you could say v dot size. What am I assuming here? I am assuming that the two arrays are of the same size. I am not doing any validation. Is that clear? So, I created sum. So, what do we write here? Sum of I. Sum of I, or what do we write here? Sum dot element of I is equal to element of I plus v dot element of I. Now, where is the
Mariam,
where is
do you understand
the
that
result
sum
of
v
this
dot size?
operation?
Do you understand how we make it?
Don't discuss till we finish here. Don't discuss, don't educate. Wait till we finish. When we now at the end of computing, where is the answer of CIE plus SEE divided here? It is there in sum. Now a function, isn't this equivalent to a function call?
Yes.
So what is the function call here? CIE dot operator plus SEE is the call. Okay? Now this call is equated somewhere, which means you should have a return type. What is the return type? What kind of a container you have here to receive the answer? It's an object. So you return sum. Makes sense, no? Sum has everything. So you don't return element of I or element array. You return sum. In that sum you have everything. So what should you write here?
Array.
Array 1D. Can I put a ampersand? Array 1D y is compulsory. Can we put an ampersand?
Yeah.
Think about it. Let me just finish one iteration. Now we created everything. Then that sum will come here. The sum will come here. Some temporary memory location, like we have registers in 8051. When you add two data, you move the data into registers. Correct? Now your CPU or your arithmetic and logic unit will have temporary registers where all the data come and sit, and then they are fed to the the digital circuits where addition, subtraction, and or everything will happen. Those temporary registers we don't know where they are, what their addresses are. They are for internal operations only. Similarly, that result will come in a temporary variable here momentarily. Now that has to be copied onto T. Now, will your compiler understand T is equal to sum, because sum is coming back? No. Like it does not understand CIE plus SCE, it will also not understand T equal to something. So, momentarily it will be in a temporary variable. Then we have to facilitate that equal to operation as well. How do we facilitate?
Operate
So,
overload
we will
again.
say operator equal to, now is that a binary or a unary operator?
Binary.
Binary, because it takes two arguments, x equal to y, something like that. So which object will bring us to operator equal to? T dot operator equal to, what is it that it was? Let that be whatever, we will take it in some variable. So it's array 1D, y and a v. I'll take it in v. What should be the return type?
Same array 1.
Shall we write void or shall we write array 1D y?
Void? Why void?
No void. No void unnecessarily. Okay. So what should happen when operator equal to is called? What should happen when operator equal to is called?
Each value of T
So
should be
for
assigned.
int I equal to 0, I less than size I plus plus again. See how easy it is. Just because we assumed one thing, that I'm not checking for sizes and everything. It is up to the user to verify and give it to me here. So element of
I equals to
I is equal to
V dot element of I.
V dot element of I. Now can you tell me V dot element of I refers to what? That sum.
Temporary variable.
Okay, and element of I refers to that of T. So what do we return? I'll return
This.
star this to emphasize that make the changes in whatever container you have, the current object only. Okay? T equal to CIE plus SEE. What if I want to create array 1D int an object called data that is same as T. The way in which I have written this line is to mean that I want a copy constructor. Why a constructor? Because I am declaring a new object, array 1D int. What is the name of the object? Data. And what is this extra? This argument that I am sending is not a variable. It is another object, T. So this refers to the invocation of a copy constructor. We don't have a copy constructor written. Now for this line to compile, I want you people to help me write the copy constructor. The name of the constructor is array 1D. Does it take any argument? Yeah, it takes an argument array 1D y ampersand. I'll take it in B. What is the return type?
No return
What is the
type.
return type?
No return type. It's
Nothing.
copy.
Return type nothing. So what should happen? What should happen? We just have to copy everything. First thing that we copy is V dot size is the same as size. So this size refers to which size in our example? Size of data. This size refers to size of data, while this is that of T. Okay? Now in a for loop, for int I equal to 0, I less than size or V dot size. It's the same now. We've equated. I plus plus, what we have is element of I equal to V dot element of I. This is the copy constructor. So, yeah, all of you listen to me. overloading the equal to operator is not the same as the copy constructor. You use copy constructor for a different reason. You use equal to operator for a different reason. In most of the compilers, you wouldn't have to overload the equal to operator. This you can check out when you're working practically. Equal to operator will already be there, will already be available, overloaded. Okay? Which means you could compile this line by overloading operator plus and without writing operator equal to overloading. That's up to the compiler. Okay? When you are answering questions or when you are writing something, don't assume. You overload equal to as well. It is for completeness. Is that clear? Equal to will be a part of the compiler in most compilers.
What if you just say T is equal to CIE?
T is equal to CIE. Now you want to do it with equal to or you want to do it with copy is your choice. How you want to make it work. We have both the versions now. Now can you, the next is, can you make this work? CIE plus equal to 2.
Sure.
What is it that you are required to do?
CI is equal to CI plus 2.
Which operator? Which operator are you overloading? Operator plus equal to. What is the argument that you are passing? Int. The operator that you are, the variable that you are passing is int. Let us take it in a variable n. Which object will bring us to that function? CIE. What is the return type?
CI. Oh, array 1. Address.
Okay? How do you make it possible?
You do return this.
How do you make it possible?
Or entire sequence.
That's it. Have I left anything? Anything else? Now one question to Nagasari. All of you together. Because of your question, I have counted for loop. I will leave it as it is. I don't want it to backfire sometime. Ma'am, you had left it like that in class sometime. You have to fill it up. Okay? For loop, do you know 0 to size? What should happen? Element of I is equal to minus. Now I have to associate the objects.
Temp dot element of I.
Temp dot element of I is equal to minus element of I. What should we return? Okay, I should return temp. Now if I return temp, I'll come back here. Does it suit how this looks also? T equal to.
Yes.
So we are expecting something to be returned. And this in turn will go to operator equal to. If you want to do the same thing in copy constructor, then you have to let it minus. You have to write a code for that. So don't complicate things. Keep copy constructor for a different reason and overload the operators for a different reason. Now, another modification that